Welcome to Lipstick, Laughs and Leadership, the podcast where we talk real leadership without the corporate BS.
We're Jodie and Emma, and this is a space for honest, human conversations about confidence, influence, well-being, and what it really takes to lead in today's world.
This podcast is for women who are capable, ambitious and thoughtful, but who might sometimes feel tired, stretched, or quietly question whether there's another way to do leadership.
There's no jargon here, no rigid rules, and certainly no pretending. Just lived experience, straight talk, laughter, and leadership that actually feels good on the inside.
So grab a cuppa, get yourself comfortable,
and welcome to the sofa.
Hello and welcome back to Lipstick, Laughs and Leadership. This is episode 9. Number 9 it is. 999. And today we're going to be talking about a skill that I think hides in plain sight. We talk about it a lot, but we don't see it demonstrated a huge amount. Anyway, I'll start playing games with you. The topic for this podcast is emotional intelligence.
There's a good old debate as well around EQ versus IQ.
EQ versus IQ. Yeah. Do you know what? That's a really interesting, probably place to start, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And over quite a number of years, there's been this debate about EQ versus IQ.
Yeah.
And something I always remember in a video by Daniel Goleman, who's well known for talking about emotional intelligence, is he did some research where people were hired for having high IQ and fired for having low EQ, which I thought was really interesting because, it's...
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't love it, but
the thought of it, it's like, we'll hire you because you're intelligent, you're clever, and you've got that high IQ, you're smart, but actually the fact that whatever happened, their behaviours, or the way that they interacted with other people and the relationships with other people just didn't work out, and so they actually got fired for having low EQ. Yeah, and I think from a leadership point of view, EQ is, I would say, more important than IQ.
Oh, God, 100%. Without doubt.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even question that.
But there's still these arguments and debates that people don't believe that that's the case. But
Yes.
ultimately, when you think about the qualities that you need to be a good leader, it's about people. It's not about the task. We've said that in another podcast. Common sense tells you, EQ is more about people than IQ.
The thing that I think we're failing to acknowledge and recognise in society, I'm just trying to speak on behalf of the UK at this point, although I've got a couple of global contracts on the go at the minute. I am noticing it there as well. It's just a little bit more nuanced, I think. I've forgotten what I was going to say.
What was
I going to say?
I think we have so many thoughts buzzing in our mind that we thinking about the next thing is.
I think what I was going to say was that no, I've had it. I might just leave this in this episode.
I think
just because
it's we're just me and you sat on a sofa, isn't it, having a chat, and these things have been
remembered.
Oh, go on.
Is that we're not really allowing emotions in work, and we're emotional beings. That's the bit that I think we've let fall out of our heads, is that we disregard the fact that we are emotional creatures. We're made to feel. And so why does I'm just going to say our social construct almost criticize people when they are emotional? And we'll get under the skin of this in a minute. But obviously it's called emotional intelligence. Therefore, emotions are a significant component of this level of intelligence. So I think we're playing a bit of buzzword bingo, with the term emotional intelligence. We're saying that we want it, but actually we shut it down when it's there, or we play at it. We're not as good as we think we are at it. So therefore it's all a bit of a shit show.
End of episode. And I was just going to say, and I think it's important to address what emotional intelligence isn't, which sometimes I've asked people, how would you describe emotional intelligence? And some people have said things like, Oh, is it about how to deal with people when they're crying? Because they've hung on to that word of emotion, and it is much more than that. And I think this is the thing where people, it is this label or a buzzword that people have heard, and they say, oh, my manager lacks emotional intelligence, or, I work with lack emotional intelligence. But do they actually truly understand and know what emotional intelligence means? And that's where, hopefully in this episode, we can break that down for you.
Let's start there.
To talk about what actually is emotional intelligence. So we know it's not about just dealing with people when they're crying. It's funny how people have actually done it. It's about dealing with people who've done that with the getting rid of them kind of thing.
When it's funny how people see the word emotion and only attach crying to it. In fact, I've seen loads of, sidetrack. I've seen loads of social media posts in this last week, since obviously all of the issues out in the Middle East at the moment and stuff, and all the stuff around the manosphere with and all of that. There's loads of posts at the minute about, oh my God, women have been criticised for so long for being so emotional, when we're the ones who have got our shit together around it. The men who are like really emotional, blowing things up and freaking out about stuff. But we don't often recognise those as emotions. We only attach emotional to the more sad, upset.
Yeah.
Emotions, not the anger or the...
So many. I mean, I always like to use the emotion wheel. If you Google emotion
I've got in
wheel,
my head.
yeah, there's so many different emotions, isn't there?
There's probably about well over 100, aren't there?
Yeah. It's always a good starting point. If you're feeling a certain way, like I want to articulate it, but I don't know how. It's good to look at that emotion wheel. It helps you to articulate it better. But I think for me, the best way to break down what emotional intelligence means is talking about Dan Goleman. His model that's split into 4 boxes.
With a quadrant.
Yeah, you do. Quadrant or a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, that for me explains it really well. And it almost takes you on a journey, I think, of the first one being self-awareness. Because when you're a leader, you've got to understand yourself first and foremost before you try and read other people and build relationships with them. So it's kind of understanding your mood, your emotions, your reactions, and the effect that it has on other people, isn't it? Not just seeing it from your perspective, but trying to put the other person's perspective. Go, when I behave in that way, how does it have an impact for the other person? And so there are a number of ways that you can build self-awareness. We talked about reflection, one of the other podcasts. I think that's important. Just take some time to self-reflect.
Yeah.
Things like understanding yourself through personality profiles, which is the one that you like to use. Strengths,
SDI.
I
have SDI, but I love a bit of insight, to be honest.
Yeah.
Insights it feels more universal.
Yeah.
Some way, shape or form, most people can connect to another set of 4 quadrants. Four colours.
Yeah. And there's a great book that's aligned to that actually, again, if you're wanting to work on your emotional intelligence, it's great to have a read of, because it helps you to not only understand your personality, but other people's, and how they might view your personality and how you view theirs, it's called Surrounded by Idiots. Stands out brilliantly on a shelf. And it's got the silhouette of 4 people on the front, which are those 4 colours. And Joe's just mentioned, it's called Surrounded by Idiots, because if you don't understand these different personalities, it'd be very easy to come into work, look around at your team and go, nobody agrees with me or sees things the same as me. I'm surrounded by idiots. And they're not idiots, it's just that they're different to you. So when you understand that, and you've got, like I said, first of all, is that self-awareness that, okay, that's how I can come across. It's not about you changing your personality, but I like to think of it as a dial that I'm moving, backwards and forwards. I know I can be very expressive, very extrovert, not great if I'm one-to-one with somebody that's very introverted. I could come across as a bit too much. But I know I can dial it right up when I'm around other extroverts, or I'm on a stage talking to 500 people. I know I can, be... I'm doing that, jazz hands, because I've got to bring the energy to the room. Your introverted people will go, I can't think of anything worse than being stood on the stage talking to 500 people. So, that's a great way to build some self-awareness, some form of personality profiling tool. And then before I ask you if you've got any thoughts on that, it handles self-awareness. My third one will be getting feedback from others. And then a lot of people say to me, oh yeah, we've done a 360-degree feedback. I've got a few feelings about those. They can be great, and these anonymous feedback forms that you fill in. But what I would say is, you want to be working towards creating a culture where you actually feel comfortable to ask somebody for feedback and talk about that in a room together, rather than feeling like we've got a culture where we need to do that behind each other's backs and not put our name to it. I've seen some situations where it leaves people guessing who's written that about me, and can turn into a little bit of paranoia. So I think it has its place, but I think ultimately the aspiration is to have that culture where we can just actually have that conversation.
Yeah, you know what? It's good to pool the data. Really, we're talking about relationships and human beings. I agree with you. I hate, I know it's a strong word, but I do detest anonymous surveys and 360, because the fact that it would have to be anonymous says enough about the culture of this organisation. That stuff is not fulfilling in our surveys. It's for having a heart-to-heart, genuine conversation about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, so, if we think about, we're talking about quadrant one, aren't we?
Self-awareness.
Awareness of self and my emotional state. For me, all the things you've said and my most recent learning. So since I did kind of all that exploration around feminine energy, because obviously I've been very male, masculine energy coded for many, many years, because that's all I knew. Thought it was my normal, but it wasn't. And since I've led more into my feminine energy, it's allowed me to get out of my head and into my body, which at first I was like, oh, what is this tribe? Embodiment. But you need to embody things. I was like, get stuffed. But actually, when I gave it a chance, practiced it, it allowed me to notice my feelings more. So never mind, yes, that emotion's real, but there was a really important part for me in the self-awareness box of emotional intelligence of to have true self-awareness. Hang on, I'm going to reverse up a little bit more here. So a lot of people try and suppress their feelings, because it's not acceptable to have them or whatever, or they feel ashamed of them or whatever. When actually the biggest lesson for me was my feelings are my body's way of telling me something. They're sending a message to my brain to go, stop a minute, I've got something to tell you. Where what we do is like, shut up, you're not important and I haven't got time for you right now. We'll deal with you later. And that's a very dangerous thing. I know you love a book drop. One I read was that the body keeps the score. Yeah. About actually how a lot of our trauma, and I'll say trauma with a little t, just things that have affected us or bothered us or caused us problems, it all gets stored in the body. And the body knows first, especially your gut. You talk about your gut being your second brain, don't you? So when you get a gut feeling, or that intuition, my intuition always feels like it's in my tummy. I used to ignore it and let my head rule, be like, no. What's the brain saying? What's the logical answer? Let me think my way out of this. Rather than now, I'll be like, no, I'm going to feel my way out of this. And what that meant was that, so I do have to drop into my body. And that means I have to physically notice what's the sensation and where is it? And then I put the right feelings label on it. So just want to use an example to bring this to life. One of my children has always struggled with their emotions quite a bit. So whenever they would get emotional and I'd say, what's wrong? The only response I'd ever get is, I'm angry. And I'd be looking at her thinking, that isn't anger. It was a totally different emotion. That's the only one she could label. And so I think a lot of other people and grown-ups and leaders in business are like that. It might be a different emotion, whatever. But it's our ability to feel the emotion and then be able to name it. What's the sensation? So I know when I feel angry, all my anger comes here. Yeah. It all gets a bit racy here. I'll often get quite red actually, but all my anger will be here. When I am sad, something upsets me, I think I feel that quite deeply in my chest. If I'm worried, I feel that in my tummy and it feels like a bit of a washing machine. If I'm ashamed, I feel that in my cheeks and they like they're hot and they sting. And if it's joy, I say to a lot of people, where do you feel joy in your body? Happiness, where do you get that? Quite often I'll get that down here. Yeah, either on the back of my neck or a little bit down here. But we stop noticing. Yeah, and we don't actually know what we're bloody feeling. So how can you have any degree of awareness around your emotional intelligence if you don't know what you're feeling and you're asking the question, what are you trying to tell me? What is it you're trying to tell me? The number of decisions I used to ignore from my gut because I felt that wasn't very tangible. And people would go, well, you can't, if you've got no rationale or evidence for your decision, then your decision's bullshit. So I thought, I can't use that. So let me head rule. Whereas now I've started training myself. I'm going to listen to that. And that's my reason. Well, why don't you want to do it? My gut's telling me not to. That's no reason. It is. That's the best reason. And I feel like we should allow a bit more of that in business. That's not acceptable. I've a gut feeling and just get the sense it's not the right thing to do. But for me, that is good enough. So it's about the self-awareness to be able to listen. And the self-awareness box, because obviously we're going to go on to self-management and regulation. But the self-awareness box for me is listen. What is the message my body is trying to tell me? Because that's the job of emotions and feeling.
Yeah, and I think I've been what's the word I'm looking for? Tuning into that more since learning a bit more about your chakras.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of similar thing. Like when I feel it in my heart, like what does that mean for me? In your chakras, what's it called? Your sacral chakra. I think also when you talk about feelings, people that are going more on the kinesthetic side will understand that more and it will find it easier to touch in their feelings. They go very much on gut instinct and things like that. And just to drop another book that's just made me think there about going with gut instinct and how it's important in business is there's a book called Blink. It's been a while ago. And that actually, I think, might say on the front cover, how to think without thinking, because it teaches you how to trust your gut instinct and go with it. And so, I think that's a really important point is to just stop and like you said, think about where you're getting the feelings, sensations, and what that means for you.
Especially for women. Well, no, I was going to say especially for women in leadership. Before I even finish the sentence, I'm like, no, it's for everybody. It is more of a feminine energy trait. And I think that's why women get the badge for it and why then we're perceived as too emotional. Well, that's because we've built this male coded world. We've built a world that is built in masculine energy and therefore it's logical. Feminine energy is feeling and emotional. Whereas whether we're women, men, neither. As people, we all need, the world needs a bit more balance across those two types of energy. Doesn't matter who's got them, but the state of the world right now is crying out for more feminine energy, particularly from an emotional intelligence perspective. So I think, we could almost stop the conversation there, because if business leaders just got good at that, loads of change for the better. Even if we didn't get past first base.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. And I think it's that self-awareness is about knowing kind of who you are as a person and why as well. So, even understanding why are my core values the core values that they are? Why are my thoughts and feelings towards a certain situation or thing the way that they are? And knowing that not everybody has that, it's understanding what's in your map of the world before trying to understand other people's map of the world.
And have some tolerance for that rather than things don't have to be right or wrong all the time, do they?
No.
They could be just different.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel very acceptable often in a corporate business type sense.
Yeah.
Like, no. It's either right, wrong, yes, no, this, that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, as I like to think of self-awareness as well, another way is that's my attitude. That's my internal thoughts, feelings, behaviors comes from my upbringing, values, who I am as a person. in this present day. That's my attitude. Then when we move into the box underneath that, which is the self-management part, that's almost like your behavior, because it's okay, I've recognized this is how I'm feeling on the inside. Now what I need to do is make a conscious effort to think about how that's going to come out externally, and that's the self-regulation part, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's not about not showing emotion, is it? Which is where I see a lot of people go wrong. It's like, well, self-management means I keep my emotions in check, and keeping them in check means get the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Don't show any. And I just think, oh no, doesn't have to be it, does it?
Yeah, I still good dog. He's very swan-like, calm and serene on the surface, paddling like hell underneath, that kind of thing. And that's definitely not what that second box means, is it? I think it's definitely about if you feel that your attitude towards something isn't great, or you're just that day you're not feeling that great, stopping yourself in the moment, having the self-awareness that makes you think, okay, this is how I feel on the outside. I'm going to make a conscious effort to not behave in that way on the outside in certain situations. I'll give you an example of a friend rang me a few months back in the car. I'm not sure if I've told this story on another podcast, but she basically, before even saying hello, she just went, if anybody gets in my way today or any of my team annoy me, that's it. They're getting it in the net. I'll have an She went, that's it. They're getting it in the net. She manages a team of like 40 people. And I went, morning then. And I was like, wow, what's going on? And she started complaining about both the kids, how they were driving her mad and they weren't behaving. One man slept last night. And so she was tired. And she said, so I'm just saying, won't be tired anyone that gets in my way, because that's it. They're having it. And I said, okay, just tell me to put these two things together, because first of all, you said about if anyone in your team annoys you, then now you've said that the two kids are driving mad. How do these two things relate? And she's like, well, they don't, but I'm just saying, I'm not in the mood.
My days got off to a bad start.
Yeah. And so that's the attitude internal before she'd even got into work. And so we had a bit of a chat, and she kind of started to come round to the reason that, okay, yeah, it's not actually anybody in my team's fault if the kids are driving me mad. So I need to make sure and don't take it out on them. So we worked on that self-regulation bit before she pulled up on the car park, so that she could go into work and make that conscious effort to go, okay, I'm not going to let my attitude affect my behaviour, which I often call pressing a reset button. So it's press the reset button. I often say to people, we actually have a natural reset button. Well, not a natural one, I suppose, but one that we mention a lot, where we go, I'm just writing today off as a bad day. And when we do that, like, so I sometimes say to people, and what time of the day do you sometimes say that? And like, the best answer is like, 8 before anyone's even come into it. And I'm like, right. And so if we've written that day off as a bad day, we've decided that it's going to be a bad day, and every interaction you have is an opportunity for you to potentially damage that relationship. And they're those moments where you get your team going, oh, my manager hasn't got any self-awareness, because you've allowed your attitude to affect your behaviour in that situation. Yeah, I think, when we talk about day-to-day just conversations with people, if you don't press that reset button, a person's going to, you probably get into work before you can sit down, someone approaches you, ask you a question, you snap at them without realising, then it's going to affect their attitude, affect their behaviour.
And sometimes all that is take a breath, isn't it? Or a few.
Oh yeah, like pressing the reset button can just be some breathing exercises. It can be, for me, when I used to be at work, an email had annoyed me or something, and I'd be sat at my desk, and it's removing myself from the situation. So I might just be going making a coffee or standing outside for 5 minutes. Some people that work from home say, pressing my reset button is going stroking my dog for 5 minutes. Yeah. So it's whatever works for you. But
It is. And I think the thing that takes place in that moment is not just a break, but I think the important part of it is a bit of personal accountability. That, it's a choice in that moment, isn't it? You're not being done to. You're not a victim of something. This is your moment to have some influence and some credibility of saying, I'm going to choose to park that now and for the rest of the day to be different, or the next meeting to be different.
Yeah.
because I'm going to show up differently. So it's not that the world's happening to you, which is what people do and blame everyone else, all excuses in the world. It's not my
Victim
fault.
mentality.
Rather than, okay, I am where I am. What's happened so far has not really gone to plan, but it ends here. Because I'm in control. I've got influence over this. So moving forward. And that's the important part, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the other thing I think that's important around the self-management piece, obviously, I'm clearly an advocate for bringing more emotion back to the workplace. Right? I'm not going to deny that. But what that really means is not that we all have flipping massive emotional outbursts in work of any kind of emotion, really. I often end up working with women who come to me for coaching or have not been sent for some coaching because they're too emotional at work. Now, they're normally either getting upset or getting angry and frustrated. And maybe, they've never let that anger and frustration out before. And then I see it, women hit their 40s and they think, fuck this shit. I'm not tolerating any more bullshit. You find a new place in your life, don't you, where you're like, no, I'm not having this.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they start unleashing some of that pent up frustration and anger, and that gets them a bit of a bad rep.
Yeah.
And so, they think then they've got to bottle it up again. It is probably more of a teach than a coach. There's a phrase I use is describe it, not display it. So you don't have to bottle it up. You don't have to leave it at the door. You can bring it and you can talk about it, but you don't let loose with it.
Yeah.
And that does require you to be able to embody it first. That's why that step one is important.
Yeah.
Because I have to know what I'm feeling and where I'm feeling it so I can put the right label on it. So let's just say I'm flipping livid, right? Might be absolutely livid. Let's say my team missed a massive deadline, shit's hit the fan, they never gave me any warning. I went to a meeting, looked a flipping dickhead in front of them, and it's cost us thousands of pounds, right? So really, I want to go back and go batshit crazy at my team for letting me down, making me look an absolute flipping plonker in front of everybody else. That'd be really easy for me to have an emotional outburst about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or to think, right, well, I need to be really diplomatic about this and leave the emotion at the door. And it's not actually going to have enough impact. You do want to have some impact with this.
Yeah.
And the impact comes from the emotion. So that might mean, because I've checked in with myself, I've got the self-awareness, I know what I'm feeling, I can sit the team down and say, listen, I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'm livid that you've let me down because I've looked stupid in front of the rest of the SLT and we've cost the business a lot of money. That's not acceptable. That carries weight.
Yeah, that's the balance between those two things, isn't it?
So, that's what I mean by describe it. You've got to know what it is to be able to. You can use a stronger word as you like. I'm not just going to go, I'm a bit cross, or I'm a bit annoyed, or I'm a bit disappointed you've let me down. I'm actually going to say, I'm livid at the moment. I'm going to need a bit of time to calm down from this one. But it shows that I can regulate that emotion. I'm processing it. Regulation means I let it happen and my body can process it, not get rid of it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. You're just making me think a manager that I was doing some coaching with a while ago had this situation at work where she'd done something with good intent, having a conversation with someone in a team, and I won't go into the details, but she ended up HR having a conversation about how she went about it. And the thing that had stuck was her response in that situation because she cried. So when I was coaching, the coaching wasn't just about this, but this is one of the situations that kept coming up time and time again, like, because it was just, she couldn't get it out of her head that she'd, been told something that she'd not done quite so right. And she cried. And we talked about the fact that, well, and why is that a bad thing? Because that's what she was hung up on, is that I'm so embarrassed because I cried. And we ended up getting to the point where actually that was a good thing that you cried, because it showed them that you actually cared. Because somebody could say to you, you haven't done something quite so right, and you just shut everything out like a robot, like saying, just go, right, okay. Well, that can look like you don't really care about the
It's
situation.
like you don't give a hoot.
No,
isn't
where
it?
actually showing some emotion shows that at least you care, or sometimes
Bothered.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think sometimes we get hung up on that, where we feel embarrassed when we've showed emotion, because we are taught that that's not the right thing to do. Stiff up a lip, bottle it up. So, yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Like you said, is just being able to articulate it and describe it, but not necessarily it show it in the behavior, display, and that was it. Yeah.
You know, so now if you put box 1 and box 2 together,
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's like, that'd change everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because actually, if we all got a better handle on our own emotional intelligence, we were self-aware and self-regulated, we wouldn't even necessarily get to the point of needing to become so aware and manage other people, which is what the other 2 boxes then become about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd solve a lot of the issues there and then,
Yeah.
wouldn't we?
Definitely. Yeah. Even just doing those first 2.
Yeah. But the other 2 are about then
Yeah.
awareness of
Social
others.
awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. So not just about me and my emotions now. This is about, can I read what's going on for other people? It's like the age old classic, isn't there? See which way round it is. But you know, there's a couple live at home together. One comes in from work and the other one says, "How's your day been, honey?" And they go, "Fine." Because the word they said, well, he or she said they were fine.
Yeah.
But the tone clearly said, "Are they fuck?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not and before you even said that, in my head I thought I need to talk about listening, because that's what we're not truly fully listening at the right level, are we? We're just maybe listening to the words, or pretending to listen, or
Ritual cliche stuff, aren't they?
yeah. So yeah, that listening part, really important to that social awareness piece, is if someone says, "I'm fine," or, you know, if at work you say to someone, "How are you?" and they go, "Yeah, I'm fine." Well, you know, it's going to be a difference of whether you go, "Oh, right, okay," and then talk about work or whatever, or go, "How are you really?" You know, and that really shows that emotional intelligence, because you've recognised the words that they say don't match with the body language. It made me giggle, because we and Dave have this funny little saying. It's this scenario where you go, "Yeah, I'm all right." You go, "How are you in yourself?" Oh, yeah.
I don't know why,
Oh,
but how are you in yourself? What on earth does that mean?
but it's a funny one, isn't it? It is.
And I think that is the good question that leads towards it. Says, I'm sensing that there's something going on under the surface here, that it's not in the words you say it.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the unsaid.
Yeah.
I'm noticing.
Yeah. And you only notice that when you're listening at that final level, where you're paying attention to body language, tone, words.
Yeah.
And
the absence of things.
Yeah. The thing is, a lot of the time we're listening with the intent to what we're going to say next, rather than actually truly listen.
Good. So today,
Yeah.
what I need you to do is, it's funny, isn't it? That's right. Well, if you focus first on the 2 self boxes, this then is not that hard, because you've almost nailed the practice. It's just the lens really that shifts a bit more.
Yeah, and I think it's understanding different personalities, because, you know, coming back to that, whether it's insights or surrounded by idiots, is that it's understanding that not everybody is the same as you, thinks the same as you, has the same core values, beliefs, or what have you. But what does that mean to the relationship we have? A big part of that social awareness piece is quite often in Dan Bowen's model, in brackets, is empathy, because it is that empathy side, looking at it from someone else's perspective. And like I always talk about the fact that from a self-awareness point of view, I know that when we look at insights, a yellow is my preference. Expressive, extrovert, can be a distraction in an office. Like, I'd get sacked probably the first week now if I went to work in an office, because I just love being around people and talking to people. Jodie's thinking, no, I never would have thought that.
I'm also thinking, my fashion, the 2 of us in the same
Yeah.
office in the last 10 minutes.
And the thing is, we're a mixture of all the 4 colours, but you know, your results come out very different. Now, I know that the blue side, analytical, introvert, tail orientated, I am literally hardly got any blue in me whatsoever. Yeah. So I was on such a foul mood yesterday, because I had to go through all my receipts for my end of year, and it's like, oh, I could think of anything like worse that I could be doing right now is go through this pile of receipts, which obviously, because I don't like to do it, I leave them till the last minute, and then I do have a pile of receipts. But yeah, so I need to, over the years when I've been a leader, it's about me understanding my opposite is a blue. I need those people in my team because I need the doers and the implementers, because like your yellows can be very blue sky thinking and could be very creative.
Much more big picture rather
Yeah,
than.
but then it's great to have someone around me that wants to do the do.
Mhm.
But the thing is and sometimes it can be a very subtle difference of how you give a message to people depending on those personalities. Because I mean, I'll give you an example of when I got taken on for a role to build a recruitment team of 75 from scratch. Now there was no building, there was a building, but we hadn't got the keys to it yet. So there was no furniture in it, there was no people, there were no processes, like nothing existed. So I found that really, really exciting because if you don't know, yellows also don't really like rules and, things like that. And from a compliance point of view, we're more on the speed side rather than getting things right. So I was like, brilliant, like I was my opportunity, build this from scratch. And when I then started to recruit people, the way that I got them excited about whether they were going to accept the role or not was very different. If I was talking to someone that was in yellow, I'd go, so we've got no job description for you yet, but you're just going to join us. We're going to have some fun along the way. We're going to make the rules up as we go along.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. It'll be great. We're going to have a great time and all that kind of stuff. And they'd be like, yeah, when can I start? Now, if I said that to someone that was more on the blue preference side, they'd be like, what do you mean no job description? What do you mean there's no processes in place? So I'd give them the same message, but in a different way. So I'd say, so we've got a really good opportunity here to build some robust processes, and we need some people that are very detail orientated to be able to do that. So we can make sure that we get the compliance side of things right when we recruit people X, Y, and Z. And I might say to them, you might not have a defined job description just yet, but every day when you come in, we'll go through, what you need to be doing, and I'll give you that direction because they like direction. And they then be brought into the role. So I'm still giving the same message, but in a different way. And that's where you've got to understand other people to be able to then talk to them in their language, not yours.
And that's the execution piece that fills in that fourth box, really, isn't it?
Yes.
When I understand what makes you different to me, I then need to adapt to that to communicate with you in a way that works for you, that engages you, that's meaning for you, that gives you clarity, all of that good stuff. And, I very rarely meet a leader that hasn't had a profile done, like Insights, DISC, SDI, Myers-Briggs, I don't know,
Clarity fraud,
whatever you like, all of them. Most people have had one done, but I find it seriously irritating that nobody really uses it properly on the daily. Do you know what I mean? We talk about it and go, well, Emma's just being a knob because she's really red. We all know Emma's like that because she's red. She calls a spade a spade. I know you're not red, but do you know what I mean? We play at it.
Yeah.
We use it as banter rather than genuinely use it to have more meaningful, emotionally intelligent conversations together so that we do better work faster.
Yeah.
And we're a higher performing team.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that's what it does, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what emotional intelligence does. It's not some nice to have, non-tangible kind of skill for work. It's really tangible.
It helps you to get the best out of people, doesn't it? Definitely. With that last bit, like you said, the relationships, like in my true yellow way that doesn't like the process, I literally described the two on the right hand side in one, didn't I? Went straight to the last one in terms of how we then do the relationship piece. But yeah, it's how you network people, how you then have those conversations, how you build those relationships, and how you coach people and get the best out of them. Yeah. I think just moving aside from the model itself, just another way I like to describe it as well, which kind of resonates with people is, and I think this comes from a book called Leadership Deception, something like that. It's definitely got the word leadership and deception on the front cover. But basically what that talks about is being in the box or out of the box. And it doesn't mean in a creative way of like thinking outside the box. It's basically say that you will have people that go around their life where they're in a bubble. I prefer to think of it as a bubble. So they're in their own little bubble. Like I often go to the supermarket and we'll say things to them. Nobody's got any self-awareness these days from thinking about emotional intelligence. But what I mean by that is no self-awareness, probably spatial awareness of what's around them. That, I've been stood there for 5 minutes patiently waiting to get something off the shelf where you're just standing, maybe flicking through your phone or whatever. Or, I can hold the door open for you because they haven't even seen you because they're in their own little bubble. So you can either be in the box in that way or out of the box where you do pay attention, you do know what's around you. And like one way I describe it is, getting onto a train, you've got loads of shopping bags, you've been on your feet all day, you bought some snacks on the way home and you just want to get on the window seat. All your bags on the seat next, and then said passenger seat there, but all the bags on the seat next to you. Spread out, enjoy my snacks and look out the window. But it's a busy train, so you put your bags down, and even if it's the subconscious thought, you can hear people still getting on the train and probably looking around for a seat. You're just thinking, please just walk past. Don't ask to sit here. You even might look up on the thing to see whether that seat's available or not. And secretly inside, you're just like, all you're thinking about is yourself, your comfort, and no one else. That's in the box thinking. Whereas out of the box thinking will be not even putting the bags there anyway, putting them, I don't know, on the floor or on overhead. And even maybe looking at someone that looks like they're struggling, going, this one's great here. I don't think anyone has ever done that to me with train. Would you like some of my snacks? Just picture the snack buffet. You talk about you and David having that joke about you were all right in yourself. Me and Mark, when we open up a bag of crisps, I was laughing about people that open it fully up and then go, what's that? And you
peel the whole bag like mine, haven't you? To share the crisps.
I don't like sharing my food at home.
Don't go on a train with that.
No,
she won't share a train snaps with you.
So that's that difference. And like if you think about it in an office, if you've got like phones on everyone's desk that's on a ring around it, whoever picks up the phone first, people that are in the box, they might just be sat casually at the desk, maybe just moving the mouse around, whatever at the desk. And then as soon as the phone rings, well, yeah, I'm super busy. I can't possibly pick up the phone right now because you're just thinking, hopefully someone else will pick it up. Whereas out the box, as soon as you hear that phone ring, you don't think about it. You just pick it up. They're just two examples, but I think that hooks in for me to emotional intelligence because it's about just not being in your bubble and thinking about yourself all the time. It's
recognise it.
Yeah, definitely.
So hopefully that's kind of brought to life a little bit more about what it is, if nothing else, as well as some ways to develop each of those 4 quadrants, really. It is definitely a skill. I think there is an argument. Let's just do this one before we finish up, actually. Is it nature, nurture, emotional intelligence? Because people always have an opinion on that.
So you mean whether you can learn emotional intelligence?
Because people go, oh yeah, well, she's just naturally more emotional intelligent and he's not.
I think there's an element of that some people are more naturally emotionally intelligent. However, I do think if you want to develop it, you can. But you've got to want to in the first place. You've got to be open-minded to other people.
I do believe that it comes naturally to some people more than others, for sure.
Yeah.
Some people have just got the gift. It's naturally there. Other people are like, you're not. Is there anyone with the lights on? Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you can't get good at it. It's just a skill. Everyone can learn it.
Yeah.
If you choose.
Absolutely.
And I think that's probably the moment to say it to Lee.
I think so.
But it's essential. It's an essential skill, I believe, that is massively missing from work and business right now. It's time to bring it back. Won't you been out for good? Don't know why.
You do a lot of singing.
Don't say that. There we go. So go be more emotionally intelligent. But we'd love to know where's the biggest space for you to develop yours? Is it self-regulation, self-management? Is it more, the awareness of other people's emotion? Or is it around relationship management, how you interact with other people in that space?
Yeah. And if you've got any tips
Yeah.
on how to build emotional intelligence for others, then pop them in the comments.
Do share. Share
Share caring.
That's just a very yellow thing to say. It reminds me of sunshine care.
Oh, thanks, guys. So thanks for watching. I hope you are enjoying our podcast so far. And if you are and you haven't done already, like and subscribe. Follow us on whatever podcast platform you are listening to.
Yeah.
And
Most people are Spotify, a few Apple Podcasts, not so much elsewhere.
yeah. Well, and on Spotify, can you give us a rating? I think you can, can't you?
Yeah, you can on Apple Podcasts as well. Leave us
Okay.
a review.
Yeah, leave us a review. We'd love to know. And as always, any relevant links will be in the description or show notes. The Buyers of Coffee is also, the link to that is also in there. So yeah, thanks again for listening / watching.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Are we going into double digits next episode?
Oh yeah, episode 10 there.
See you then.
Bye.
We're a poet and we didn't know it.
Thanks for listening to Lipstick, Laughs and Leadership.
If something in today's conversation resonated, take a moment to sit with it, or share this episode with someone who might need to hear it too.
You can subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and that really helps more women find these conversations.
We're glad you spent this time with us, and we hope you're leaving feeling a little more grounded, a little more confident, and a little less alone.
So we'll meet you back on the sofa next time.